a lot to get into when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2 and Star Fox, among other things, skyrocketing with the sales so far. So we're going to get into what is happening here with this game and why I think this should probably be the best shot for Star Fox to do well post Star Fox 64 on the Nintendo 64. We've also got some updates when it comes to Nintendo Switch 2 and the price increase. Nintendo has made a formal statement on this that I found interesting. Also, the next big Dragon Quest game. Yes, we are finally potentially going to get a look at it this month. So we're going to get into details and what you can expect when it comes to Dragon Quest XII and more, because it's not just that game, and maybe we have a little bit more to talk about. But before we continue on, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2. All you have to do to enter is hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed, and drop a comment below. We are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 once we hit 150,000 subscribers, and it will be random. So the more that you actually comment and interact, the better chance that you have to win. Hit that like button, click that notification bell, and let's go ahead and jump right back in. Shout out to my man Stealth, who first put this out there on Twitter, but I had to go look for myself when it comes to the Amazon best sellers and what is happening. Now, we all know this week we got the big reveal of Star Fox for the Nintendo Switch 2. And yes, there was some divided opinions on the look of the game, and I think that it really kind of separates from where you started playing Star Fox or what you think of Star Fox. Star Fox is not a super popular character, so some people have really only seen Star Fox from the Mario movie, or essentially just like Super Smash Brothers. That's pretty much all they know Star Fox from. Or maybe they played the game back in the day, but they didn't really know the origins and what Star Fox was from like the Super Nintendo. But either way, it seems like it doesn't matter, at least right now, because Star Fox has skyrocketed to the top of the Amazon best sellers. Now, it says on Stealth's page, Star Fox is the best-selling Switch 2 game on Amazon US right now. And Amazon splits it up into two separate categories, actually multiple categories, but you can do the best selling game, which is just the overall from all platforms. You can do individually each platform, like Switch 2, PlayStation, Xbox, and then you can do new releases, so games that are upcoming and games that had just released. So Star Fox shot to the top of both of the major boards when it comes to overall best selling new games, so because it just went live for pre-orders, and the new release best-selling game. So that is definitely a good thing, and I think that the $50 price tag is one of the big reasons why. Now, Switch 2 adoption could actually get a nice little bump here in the US because of the impending price increase, which we're going to talk about in just a bit. So with that price increase that's coming on September 1st, there's definitely going to be more people probably buying the Nintendo Switch 2 within the next number of months that maybe would have not bought one or held off because, hey, I want to save that $50 now opposed to paying it later. So I think that some people definitely said, okay, let me just go out there, let me get the Switch 2, let me get Star Fox, it looks pretty cool. So to me, this is the best opportunity for Star Fox to do well. This is probably going to be one of the better ones. Every single time Star Fox has came out post Star Fox 64, there's been some interesting things happening, some kind of different stuff when it comes to what they tried to do. But the biggest thing that I tell people is that Star Fox was always meant to be like a realistic, heavy graphics type of game. Even with the N64 version, that game looked incredible back in the day, and people were like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Like, this game looks so good. However, Nintendo did have a bit of a pivot when it comes to post, I would say, GameCube after that with the Wii, where Star Fox and the graphics emphasis, obviously that wasn't going to be anything with the Wii, or even like the Nintendo 3DS. Obviously a nice handheld, but still not even up to the level of the PSP. So I think once that happened, it lost one of its edges of why it was even made, or one of the reasons why it was popular in the first place, which was the look of the game, when Nintendo pivoted to more about the play experience than power of the system. Now with the Nintendo Switch 2, they have enough power to get the realistic look right and get it done. Obviously, Star Fox Zero, they diverted some of the power to the gamepad, and they knew that that system wasn't necessarily a power type of system. So I do think that that's what they were going for. They're kind of harkening back to the original Star Fox and what they were trying to do there with that game, because it was built into the cartridge. a chip, the FX chip, that actually made it perform better than what the Super Nintendo was even capable of. Switch 2 does have DLSS. It's a powerful system, obviously. The law of diminishing returns. You're looking at a system more powerful than the PlayStation 4, and in some ways can match the Xbox Series S. That is more than enough to make a Star Fox game look beautiful. So I do feel that's what they were going for with this game, and people are responding so far. Now, this is just the Amazon bestsellers. We have to wait and see what happens when the game launches, but I do think that the price tag plus the look, the distinct look of the game, and of course, Star Fox being in the Mario movie is going to help this game do better than most of the recent Star Fox games that have pretty much flopped. Star Fox Zero, flop. Star Fox Command on the Nintendo DS, flop. Star Fox Assault, not the biggest flop, but not great. I mean, it was $20 greatest hits pretty quickly. Most people bought it that type of way. So for the most part, Star Fox has not had successful releases anytime recently in the last 20 years, for the most part. The last time there was actually a real big success for Star Fox was on the Nintendo 64. That was the last real big multi-million selling type of success. So can they get back to that? Probably not. But can they get somewhere in between that? Yes, they can. I do think that it can sell somewhere between 1 to 3 million plus units, but we'll see how good the game is. It's based on Star Fox 64. That game's incredible. So I do think that's the best place to start if you're trying to get new people in. Star Fox 64 is the best one. So just go ahead and remake that one and then branch off from there. If it's successful, you can kind of make your own new story. That's why it's just called Star Fox. They're literally just called Star Fox, which Star Fox 64 is a complete reboot of the original Star Fox on the Super Nintendo with a bunch of added stuff like the Blue Marine and the Landmaster and the multiplayer, and now this one even adds more with the online multiplayer, the new modes, some of the new features in the single player, the cutscenes and all of that. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to checking it out. Comes out this June, so that should be exciting out there. So what do you guys think when it comes to Star Fox and its rating so far, skyrocketing to the top of the sales charts? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, moving on to the next topic here. We got to talk about the Nintendo president, Mr. Shuntaro Furukawa, has apologized, yes, apologized for the Switch 2 price increase. But more importantly, he says that there will be a, quote, robust software lineup to make up for it. So if you don't know, the Nintendo Switch 2 is getting a price increase pretty much worldwide by $50, but in some reasons it's like 30 euros. I think in Japan it's 10,000 yen. So it is not a massive price increase, but it's still a price increase nonetheless. And with the cost of everything going up around us, obviously people do not want to see prices increased when it comes to our entertainment, and that's myself included. I do not like it. I don't think it's a good move. But I understand, at least now at this point, I understand what happened with the components, as Mr. Daniel Ahmed stated right here, when it comes to what Nintendo's spending on the components, the RAM and all that. And it's the same thing I said when the PlayStation 5 price went up, or when the Xbox Series, tariffs, components, gas, fuel, all that type of stuff is driving things up. And of course the use of AI that's eating up all of the RAM sticks out there. So same thing I said essentially when it comes to those systems when they first got price increases. Now it's been kind of crazy, but let's talk about this because he did apologize for this. And in Japan, the price increase is happening in a couple of weeks, whereas here in the US, it's happening in September. So they gave us a bit more time than in Japan. And now in Japan, the Nintendo Switch 2 is now more expensive on paper than the PlayStation 5 all digital edition. But once again, it's all digital. If you want to be able to even play physical games, you need a disc drive. That's another $80. So it's cheaper on paper, but in actuality, if you want the full functionality of being able to just play your backwards compatible PS4 games and all that, you got to buy an extra hard drive. That's $80. So it is what it is with that. Now let's get into what Mr. Furukawa had to say here. Quote, "We sincerely apologize to our customers for the considerable inconvenience and trouble this will cause. While we wanted to prioritize a wide adoption, it was challenging to bear the rising costs over a long period. The new pricing does not fully account for all cost increases." He also stated this when it comes to the Switch 2 forecasting a lower year. So this past year, they sold 19 1.86 million units. That's a lot of units, and it hasn't even been a full year of the Nintendo Switch 2 as the system launched in early June, but they are forecasting about 3 million less to 16.5 million units, and this is part of the reason why, because of the price increase. So he also stated this, quote, due to efforts to strengthen our supply chain, the first year sales reached an unprecedented level. The demand in the second year is firm, and we believe that the adoption of Switch 2 is progressing smoothly. So there are some people that were trying to spin this as Nintendo Switch 2 is failing or something like that, and that's just not the case. They're essentially saying, hey, look, because of the situation with the price increase, we're going to be a little bit more conservative and make sure that we shore up the supply chain and what we're doing. But they were able to get a lot of systems out, so therefore anybody who wanted a Switch 2 was able to get one. And in modern history, that has been a tough thing to do. A lot of times there's not enough systems to go around, and you'll have scalping going on like crazy. That was not a widespread problem with the Nintendo Switch 2 over the past number of months since launch. So it's cool that he apologized, but once again, I don't like the price increases, but I understand it. He did state why the price increased, because of the production costs, and it doesn't cover everything. Now, based on what Daniel Ahmed said, it did state that it was about $40 more in rising costs, but from what we understand, the Switch 2 is either breaking even or actually losing a little bit. I don't really know if it is above that or not, but it does seem like they might still be losing a bit on each one. So it's not something that, at least in my opinion, just like I said with other systems, when it comes to the first price increases, it's something to where the RAM and the component cost prices are just eating everyone alive right now at this point. So very unfortunate. Never like to see prices increase, but it was explained here and they did apologize. So if you want to get a Switch 2 and you're here in the West, make sure you get one before September 1st. I know I'm going to be at least buying a few for birthdays and Christmas, because I know there's going to be some of my family that wants one. So what do you guys think about this and the apology? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, moving on to the next topic. Let's discuss Dragon Quest Live. Yes, we've got a Dragon Quest live stream with Mr. Yuji Horii, and it is planned for this month, May 27th. And the next game is going to be there. Looks like Dragon Quest XII, The Flames of Fate, will finally get revealed. So the Dragon Quest live stream is planned for the series' 40th anniversary on May 27th. Series creator Yuji Horii said on the latest episode of the Koso broadcast, quote, we'll be doing a live stream on May 27th, Horii said. I think we'll be able to make an announcement about the next game. Horii continued, we will also have various other things besides the next game, so please look forward to it. Now, while Square Enix has yet to officially announce a live stream for the Dragon Quest series 40th anniversary, the company held a similar event for the 35th anniversary in 2021, where it announced Dragon Quest Kishi Kishi, Dragon Quest X Online version 6, Dragon Quest X Offline, Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake, Dragon Quest Treasures, and Dragon Quest XII, The Flames of Fate, which I do think that they announced that too early. At this point, I think we can go back and look, considering it was 5 years ago, we've seen nothing. So they probably announced that a little bit too early. Now, all of the titles announced during the 35th anniversary stream have since been released, except for Dragon Quest XII, The Flames of Fate, which has not received any updates since. While Horii did not specifically mention Dragon Quest XII during today's broadcast, it is possible he was referring to it when he mentioned the next game, which that does seem kind of obvious in my opinion. Now, the 35th anniversary stream was announced on May 13th, 2021, exactly 2 weeks before its broadcast. If the same pattern follows suit, Square Enix will likely share more information in the coming week. The Koso broadcast, in which Horii mentioned the live stream, has since been made private on YouTube, possibly so it can be edited and republished. Horii is somewhat notorious for sharing information before it is meant to be publicly announced. So there you go on that one. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I do think that they're finally going to give us more information on Dragon Quest XII. This is something that we've been waiting for 5 years now at this point, and Dragon Quest XII is one of those games to where people just want to know more information. Dragon Quest XI was so good, so people are thinking, what's the next one? And Dragon Quest XI came out about 10 years ago. I think it launched in 2017. Yes, 2017. So 9 years ago at this point. So people are excited and ready for the next one. There's also been a rating for Dragon Quest XI for the Nintendo Switch 2. So you can probably expect that game to come to Nintendo Switch 2. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Switch 2 version or multi-platform version of Dragon Quest Treasures. Also, look out for potentially more Dragon Quest remakes that could be announced. Maybe we finally get a Dragon Quest VIII remake or port or something with modern platforms. So we'll see what they end up doing there. I'm excited and I'm looking forward to what they have to reveal. So once they announce the live stream in the times, I'll probably see if I can live react to that. So what do you guys think about everything that we talked about here with the Nintendo Switch 2 and more? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you are someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.